has a long history of killing people from Syria, especially this city called Hama. And there are some Shiite who are closer to people of the Sunnah than others, like a group of Shiites called the Zaydiyah. But they are connected. So no doubt the Nusairiyyeh, they started out and there was an influence of the Shiite from the Sharia. And it's a weird thing because the 12 Imamas, they make takfir of the Nusairiyyeh. So if the 12 Imamas are making takfir of you, you need to know you got a problem. If Khomeini and people like that say that you're not a Muslim, then there's something wrong with you. And these people came from them. So the Ithna Sharia, the 12 Imams, they have their 12 Imams. Each one, according to them, is connected to Ali ibn Abi Talib, radiyallahu anhu. But when you get to the 11th Imam, there's a problem. For them, the 10th and the 11th Imam. The 11th Imam, his name is Al-Hasan Al-Askari. Muhammad Al-Hasan Al-Askari. He didn't have any children. So now the 12th Imam of theirs, because they're the sons of each other, he didn't have any children. So as a result of not having any children, the 12 Imamas had a problem. What are we going to do about the 12th Imam? So they came up with this idea. The 11th, 12th Imam is in a cave somewhere hiding. And he's still hiding there. And they've been waiting for him for 1,000 years. They put him there as a baby, and they're still waiting for him to come out. Who believes in that kind of religion? How can your religion be like that? So these people came from the Ithna Sharia. How? There was a man who's their leader, and Nusairiyyeh, the name comes from him. His kunya was Abu Shu'aib, Muhammad ibn Nusair al-Numairi. This guy, this man, he learned from the 10th Imam of the Ithna Sharia and from the 11th one. After meeting the 11th one and taking knowledge from him, he said that he was the bab, he's the door, he's the conduit to the 12th Imam who's coming. And then this story comes with that. But it's this man who the Nusairiyyeh are named after. This man right here, Muhammad ibn Nusair al-Numairi. He invented and introduced a lot of madness. So these people, they have some Islam, love Ahlul Bayt. They have some Islam. They have Muslim names, Arabic names. They're located in Muslim countries like in Lebanon, like in Syria, some of them in Turkey. They pray, but in their pray, they don't make ruku', they don't make sajda, they don't read the way we read. So anyway, he introduced all of this stuff, and now they came up with the new religion. Now, what I want to mention, this is really important about the Nusairiyyeh, is that they used to be called the Nusairiyyeh a long time ago, but in the 1920s, after World War II, they took on the name the Alawies. and trying to trick the Muslims, because in that time, there was a lot of stuff going on in the Arab world, a lot of stuff. The hukam of the Arabs, the stuff that was happening in the Middle East, a lot of political, and this particular group, the Nusairiyyeh, they are an esoteric group and they're a cult. They really don't deal with other people. They don't mix with anybody else. They got a real crazy story. So there was a guy from amongst them who wanted to make them mainstream, make them a political force. And he called them the Alawiyin, the Alawies, trying to trick people, because Alawi means connected to Ali. No one's going to be against Ali ibn Abi Talib. Nobody's going to be, but they were not connected to him with Iman. So it's been less than 100 years. 1920, we're 2024. They've been called the Alawies now. But you won't find them called the Alawis in the books that I mentioned, because that's way after those scholars who wrote those books back then. But now you hear them being referred to as the Alawis. So the man, his name is Muhammad Amin al-Ghalib. He was a man who came and called them Alawis and tried to give them this position where they became, just normal people and accepted in, what do they call that again? Something screen. When everything is acceptable. Mainstream, that's it. That was his desire. But the Muslims, even the Muslims of Syria, they know that these people are outside the fold of Islam. So they are evil people. Now, I'm not getting into the political history of how they took over Syria and how they've been ruling Syria for 54 years of tyrannical rule. I mean, tyrants. If you start looking at some of the videos that are coming out right now, people have been in prison for 40 years. Why was he put in prison for 40 years? He's just a regular pilot in the army of the Father. And we wanted him as a pilot to drop a bomb on Halab. He said, I'm not going to do that. The man got put in prison. They took him out of prison now. He didn't know what was going on. He thought the father was still living. He thought Saddam Hussein came and saved them. They have prisons. They have right now. You'll see the images. They have prisons where women have been in the prison. And when the soldiers came and let them out, they were shocked. They didn't even want to go with the soldiers because they thought they were going to be taken and, some madness was going to happen. And I got to mention this because it's really important. Syria was destroyed, and part of those who helped to destroy Syria were the people from ISIS. No doubt about that. Iraq, Syria, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. And now the people who are fighting, don't give your ear or your heart to the people who are criticizing those soldiers who have helped to liberate Syria. We should have husn al-dhan and make dua for them and be happy that those tyrants are out. I just can't understand. I find it very difficult to comprehend why and how some people are just so critical. Oh, now that the leader is gone, it's going to be a bunch of killing. That's possible. We hope that doesn't happen, but we're going to have husn al-dhan billah. We're going to have husn al-dhan billah. The Muslim helps the Muslim, even if he's an innovator, when it comes to life and death, Islam and kufr. So we're hoping, we're praying. Some of these people who are part of liberating, they were from ISIS. No doubt about that. There is no doubt about that. We don't want ISIS to win. We want the Muslims to win. We want the Muslims of Syria to be free. So these people in Nusairiyyeh are a problem, brother. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah wrote about them. He said that the Nusairiyyeh are akfaru min al-Yahud wa nasara. They have more kufr than the Jews and the Christians. More kufr. Ibn Kathir. There's a famous traveler amongst the Arabs. His name is, he's known as Ibn Battuta. He traveled everywhere. He wasn't a scholar, he was a historian, and I don't know what you would call, I guess, a genealogist, and he was a person who knew where places were. But he had a lot of khurafat, he had a lot of stuff. But he did travel, and he met a lot of people. He talked about these people as well, how they're non-Muslims outside of Islam. And as I said, they have some Islam, they have Christianity, and they have Zoroastrianism from the Persians, the madness of the Zoroastrianism in their Aqidah. So one thing about these people is that they are an esoteric group that you will never find who's a member. You'll never find anyone who'll say to you, I'm a Nusairiyyeh. You'll never find it. They're discouraged from sharing their information. Not only are they discouraged, but from their religion is they have what's known as the khawas and the awam. The khawas are their sheikhs, or people who know. They read a little bit. But the regular people are discouraged from reading anything or even knowing the deen. You find them, you come and say, what do you believe? He doesn't even know his religion. They're left like that, So you'll never find a masjid ever saying we're Nusairiyyehs. You never find it. The way that we know that the leader of Syria was a Nusairiyyeh, and the generals and the people in the army and the people in the government is because that's how it's always been traditionally. It's not like that because they give dawah. It's not like that because they show their religion. It's like that because they just happen to occupy that part of the country, that part of the world, and those positions in the government. Now, as it relates to some of the stuff that these people believe, and it's a lot, they have a trinity that they believe in that they got from Christianity. The Nusairiyyeh believe in this thing that they call al-ma'na, al-ism, and the third thing is al-bab. They said that the ma'na and the ism came together and created the bab. Al-ma'na, to them, the meaning of the ma'na, the word ma'na means the meaning. The meaning of al-ma'na and what they believe is al-ma'na is Ali ibn Abi Talib. They say that Ali is divine. Ali is Allah incarnate on the earth. Ali is the ma'na, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is al-ism. He's the name. They believe that Rasulullah and Ali created the bab. The bab is Salman al-Farisi. What kind of religion is that? What are you talking about? What does the ma'na do? What does the ism do? What does the bab do? When you try to find out what that is, you won't find it. It's not written. You don't find it. You just find those things, their religion, what they believe, it revolves around those issues. That's part of what they believe. From what they believe is, as I mentioned, Ali ibn Abi Talib has a personality who is muqaddasa. He is sacred and he's divine. And his position is higher than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That in and of itself is kufrun billah. And this is what you get with these people or splinter groups from the Ithna Ashariya. The Ismailis, extreme, the Ismailis. The Aga Khans, extreme in what they believe and what they do. I mean, it's a lot of them. And all of them outside of the fold of Islam. And I want to make it clear right now, scholars who we love, honor, and respect made takfir of them, our contemporary scholars as well. Al-Albani made takfir. Ibn Uthaymeen takfir, clear. Because you can't be a Muslim doing that. Another thing that they do, Ikhwani, and this is important, is they don't do any ibadat in Islam. They don't pray the way we pray. They stand up and they say some things and they raise their hands up, say some things, raise their hands up. That's all. They don't make sajda. They don't make the salat that week. They don't do any fasting in Ramadan. They don't do Hajj or Umrah. None of that. None of that. Women don't wear hijab. There's no hijab. As a matter of fact, the prayer that they do or anything that they do in a religion is only for the men. But most of it has nothing to do with what the Prophet brought, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like the fourth thing, like in Christianity, I don't know if any of you have been exposed to this, but in the church, they have a thing called communion. When you go to communion, you eat these crackers and you drink some juice that's supposed to be the blood of Jesus, which is paganism. Why do we want to drink anybody's blood? Symbolic or not. In African American church, in the white churches here in America, they give you Kool-Aid and juice. African American, they give you wine. In African American church, they give the kids Kool-Aid and juice, but the elders can drink wine. So while they're there doing their service on the day of communion, they're drinking in the church, getting drunk. The Nusairiyyehs do the same thing, but they drink wine. Drinking wine in their religion and drinking wine, khamr, in their lives is not haram. And they say that the wine that they drink, whether it's religious or with the food or whatever, the party, to hang out, whatever wine they drink, they believe it's the blood of Hussein. It's the blood of Hussein. Again, that stuff is borrowed and taken from Christianity. They have a little bit of everything. What are those people in India called again? Hindus. Hindus believe in reincarnation. These people believe in that. They believe in this thing called Tanasikh al-Arwah, where they believe like when you die, the souls can transport themselves, and depending upon how good you were in the dunya, when you come back, you'll be in a better soul, a better human being, a better state. That's not our religion. You live, you die, you get buried, Yom Qiyamah. They don't believe in the Jannah, they don't believe in the Nar. Also, from what they do is, there's no Quran. This is one of the worst issues with these people. They'll read the Quran, if they read the Quran, but they'll only read the Quran to give their esoteric interpretation of things. Any way you want to interpret, whatever, you can interpret it. There's no Sunnah, it's just the Quran, and if they read it, which they don't, they're discouraged from reading it, they're like non-Muslims. Non-Muslims don't read the Quran, but they're khawas. They'll read the Quran and they'll give interpretations as to why salat is the way it is, why they can drink khamr, why the women don't have to wear hijab, why they do whatever it is that they do. I'm telling you that the aqeedah of these people is shrouded in mystery. It's more like a cult than it is anything else. And due to political reasons, back then in the 20s, in the 30s, in the 40s, when the father came and how he got in charge, this stuff just gave him power. But the people of Syria are not on that aqeedah. The people of Syria, it's just a cultural thing that the people were born on it. Some of them stay with it. Another thing about these people that's really important is that you will barely be able to find any book of the Nusairiyyehs talking about them. But there was a man from amongst them a while ago who became a Christian. And after becoming a Christian, he wrote about some of the things that he knew of what they believed. And they wound up killing that man, burning him alive in front of the people. They burnt him alive so that the village and the community will see this is something that is punishable by death and for death. So there are people who have blasphemed, know Islam, and we don't hesitate. It's not even permissible for the Muslim to hesitate. Are they Muslims? The ignorant ones from amongst them who think that they're Muslims are not Muslims. They get no udhr bil-jahl. They don't get any excuses because they don't know. Some people, you would excuse them, even if they're making big things like Alawies. Alawies from Pakistan, India, Afghanistan. They say things of kufr. Rasulullah is omnipresent. Hazir Nazir, they say. He didn't die. They say things of kufr. We're not going to make takfir of those people because they're ignorant. Many of them can't read and write. They don't know what they're talking about. So you got to sit someone down. You have to explain to him and establish the dalil and the hujjah on him before you can pass that ruling, because he doesn't know. Even some Shiites are like that. Even some Shiites are like that. They don't know. But what these people believe is known from the religion by necessity. The brand new Muslim who accepted Islam, the Latino guy, the Puerto Rican guy, as soon as he accepts Islam, he's going to know you got to pray. Ali is not Allah. Allah is not a human. You're going to know those things. You got to do the 5 pillars of Islam. So it's things that are basic. So we wanted to bring that to your attention. And I would advise you as well to go back and to read Wikipedia about them, because there are a lot of claims against them. I'm not going to accept all of the claims because it's hard to investigate all of that stuff. The best source to get that from is what the Muslims wrote and get it from their books. And sometimes there are contradictions and sometimes there's mubalagha. There's exaggeration. And we don't have to contradict. We don't have to lie. We don't have to exaggerate when it's enough real stuff that's there. Just say what's real. Say what's authentic, what's established from sources that you can't dispute, and just keep it moving. You don't have to sensationalize the situation, the kufr of these people. Now, behind all of this is one main thing, and that is, as the days go and turn into weeks and months, inshallah, we don't want to be of those people once again, those people who have nothing to say in their understanding of Islam is criticize the Muslims. In Syria, the Islam of Syria is weak because of the people who have been in charge of their country. Like Bosnia, Albania, those people, their Islam is weak because of communism. And the effect communism had on China, Islam is weak. In Syria, Islam is weak. Deployed to Lebanon, a lot of the Syrian refugees were Lebanon, and it would be time to pray. And I want to say most of them wouldn't pray. Most of them would not pray. I'm not making takfir of them. Those people were in camps. What do you call those camps again? Refugee camps. Life was tough, but you still have to pray. And you would think if someone is in that situation, he would want to pray because he needs a lot of help. But what I used to do, it's easy for us to look at them and we're passing things out to them, and Salat will come and go and they won't pray. Smoking in Ramadan. You will see some really disturbing things. My thing was more to look at them and say, Hafiz Asad, mess those people up, mess their religion up. And still, I gotta mention this, from Syria, there are people of Al-Islam and people of the Sunnah. Syria had people who know their religion. I remember in Medina, the second best student in our year was a brother by the name of Muhammad Alush. I don't know what happened to him, but I hope and pray that he's well, because he was a really good student and he was on the Sunnah back then, because you don't find Syrians on Salafiyya like that. So the point is, these days, let's not wish anything but khayr for the Muslim brother. Let's hope that those people who are calling themselves mujahideen and things like that, let's hope and pray that they don't come with any ghulu and they don't come with those things that are displeasing to Allah. But let's hope and pray that they do the right thing. We can't support, when you see those guys a long time ago, ISIS and those people, when they catch the prisoners, when they catch the Shiite, Saddam's people, you can't treat prisoners like that. You can't treat prisoners have rights in Islam. We're not seeing that now. Not on the scale that it was before. As a matter of fact, the people who are engaged in this process right now, They seem to be people trying to do the right thing. They seem that. So we have to make dua to Allah Azza wa Jal and hope khair for them. And not be the negative, muntaqideen, just criticizing them. And it's not going to work. What we want the Muslims of Syria under the rule of those oppressors? Under the rule of kuffar? Yeah, we want them to be under the rule of the Muslims. But the Muslims are going to be fair and just. So as the days come, know for surety, when you see those soldiers of the Alawiyin and the Nusairiyyeh, those people were akfaru from the Yahud and the Nasara. They are enemies of Allah and His Messenger and enemies of the people of Al-Islam. And that's why they had no rahmah upon those Syrians over these past few years. So may Allah Azza wa Jal deal with them. And just as Allah changed that situation, it seemed just between the night and the day, it's easy for Allah to do that in other places where Muslims are being oppressed. All right, my brothers, if you brothers have any questions about the Nusairiyyeh, you could put your question forward. Or if you want to add on to it, you could do that as well. هل عندكم شيء؟ From the Tashayyu' and from Shiaism, they have an extreme form of a tuqya. A tuqya is what the Shiite do, and that is where they say something and they mean something else. It's really lying. It's a tuqya, that's from the religion. If you're going to get in trouble or something, you can say something, but you mean something else so that you don't hurt yourself, so that you don't get killed, so that nothing happens to you. You can tell him something, but you mean something else. As it relates to him, what you're telling him is not the truth. You're saying that to him, he's thinking something else. But what you're saying is true, but you know he doesn't understand that. Islam allowed you to do that, to save your life. In war, Islam allowed you to do that. So they have an extreme form of tuqya, where you'll never learn about what their religion is. You'll never learn about what's really on the person's mind, because that's part of the understanding that they understand is their religion. And there are a few other things. So anyway, if you brothers have any questions, you can put your questions forward now, inshallah.
How do you look for the other groups? You look at
How did what, Sheikh Abu Anas?
how do you look, for example, a Sunni group, like Kuffar or what?
How do they look at that? Yeah, they don't see themselves as Muslims. They don't see themselves as Muslims.
Kill them? Then they kill them.
Yeah, they kill the people of the Sunnah. Like they don't have rahmah.
So
But
for them, the Sunni is not Muslims.
yeah, Sunnis are not, they themselves are not Muslims. They'll see the Sunnis as Muslims, but not what they are, because they're not Muslims.
So they don't claim themselves that they're Muslims.
Some of them claim that they are Muslims, but most of them do not claim that they are Muslims. Most of them don't claim that they're Muslims. Now, we have to be fair and just. You know, we have the Iraqi brother Abu al-Harith. Abu al-Harith will tell you in Iraq, you can be a Sunni Muslim and next door Shiite Muslims, and they're not bothering you. And you're not bothering them. Their Eid, you send them, their Eid, they sing you, and they're your neighbors. Like we have some of these neighbors. In my neighborhood, these Hispanics and then the Latinos and working class people in my neighborhood, we have nice, hey, how you doing? What's going on? It's like that. And they're not Muslims. But is there love? There's no love. There's just, the haqq you give to your neighbor. So there are some Nusairiyyehs, I'm sure, are just nice, regular people. They don't have any animosity towards people of the Sunnah or anyone else for that matter. So that's not what we're talking about. Every Nusairi wants to kill the Sunni. I didn't say that. I said that a Nusairiyyeh as an ideology has no rahmah on the Sunni people, especially when leaders like those two, the son and the father, and their generals and politicians, when they're over the Muslims, you're in trouble. The Alawiyun, don't mix them up with they call them Alawites with the Turkish. They call them Alawites. There's some other Turkish Shiite people, and they're not these people. They're not the same. They're not the same. These are the Nusairiyyeh. اتفضل.
Probably Baptist. Is that the same thing or that's something different?
That's a good point. The Ba'athist party had a lot to do with how they became politically powerful. And this man who I mentioned, who called them Alawies, this man was a Ba'athi. And the Ba'athi, they're pan-Arab nationalists. They see Arabs as being better than everybody else. The Arab Christian Jew, the Arab Druze. The Druze are another one of those esoteric mad groups. The Druze, the Alawies, these Alawies, through that man, became a part of the Ba'athi people. Saddam Hussein was from those people. Back then, they were pushing that Arab nationalism. And you got to be honest, brother. Anybody will tell you, the Arab leaders back then seemed to be, they had more rojula. They had more rojula than what you see from a lot of the Arab leaders today. And what you see. Any more questions, Ikhwani?
Baptist is basically like a political party.
Yeah, the Ba'athis are political. They're a political party. And a lot of the Nusairiyyeh are from the Ba'athists. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك واشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. السلام عليكم ورحمه الله.